Welcome back from the break. We're talking about bone marrow and we're talking about donation from the public with regards to building up the registry so that we can save some kid out there or some person out there that might have some blood disorder or leukemia or something like that. And we're looking at the Sunflower Fund and campaign and the work that they're doing. In this segment, we are going to be meeting some real patients and finding out what their life is about. And I want you as a viewer to connect with that story because you can make that change. I've got Abigail in studio, and we're just going to continue our discussion on that. Abigail, before we went to the break, we spoke about all the technicalities of donating and how you can get involved as a member of the public by giving your time, doing the test to see if you're liable to assist somebody out there. We spoke about the numbers and the chances. We looked at some of the byproducts like the bandana and how that could support the campaign. We also want to just look at some of the aspects with regards to the donation itself. I know that you're saying that you can only become a donor once.
Yes.
Why is that
yes.
so?
What happens is that...
So it's not like a blood donation where you need
it's not a blood donation.
Where you get this SMS that says, can you come in now and start again, kind of thing. It's only once.
It's once. As soon
What's
as you
the
opt
reason
out,
for that, physiologically perhaps?
I don't have complete clarity on that. I can always get back to you on that.
That's a medical stipulation.
It's a medical stipulation, absolutely. But yes, as you've said, you can only be a donor once. So if you are found to be a match for a patient and you donate your stem cells, your name gets taken off the registry at that point.
Of course. And basically you've done the job. You saved the life possibly and you've done what you can to save a life.
Absolutely.
At that point. Now, we're talking about real cases. These are real issues and real problems. We talk about real children. A couple of years ago, I'm not too sure how long ago, it could be 5 or 6 years ago, I was involved with a campaign with Abdulaziz Musa. Unfortunately, we lost him. We thought that it was going to happen. It didn't happen. And it boiled down to the same thing. So I'm just walking that steps again with you, fighting the race with Red Cross and with other people trying to get that sorted out. It didn't happen.
Yes.
And I thought, what a waste. And I'll tell you why I thought what a waste. He was this bubbly child. Spoke to me all the time about a lot of things. And so I think that was a waste. But in the end of the day, I think that yes, God has his plans, but I think that we have to make every effort that we can to do that.
Absolutely.
Now, we're sitting at the junction again. You have cases again. Who are we looking at the moment?
Okay. A few years ago, a young teenager was diagnosed. Brilliant young man. And right now we also have a 13-year-old, Zayon, 13-year-old little girl, an amazingly happy child, positive child, a straight A student. And you'd think that with her having this disorder, this illness, you'd expect her to be depressed and broken. And it's just amazing the strength that she has to still be positive, you know. And you look at this little girl and you think to yourself, I've got to make a difference. I need to do something to help her.
Correct, yes. Now, it's funny that you're mentioning that because I remember going to see Abdulaziz in the hospital, and I sort of came down the corridor chatting to someone, and this person just sort of held me back, saying, just listen to what they have to say. And there were two patients, both young 7-year-olds. They looked like two old men laying there and talking and having conversation. And what they were talking about was death. And they were the one said to the other one that for some odd reason they think that we're afraid to die. And I overheard this conversation, and which was life-defining for me, because any person at our age and being more conscious, you have this fear. And so these kids are brave, and that comes across clearly even with this particular case. But what stands out for me is that, like any of our viewers at home right now, all of them possibly has children and a child.
Yes.
That's probably sitting in another room tonight, or went to a class, you're waiting for your kid to come back, and that sort of thing. And we need to put ourselves in the shoes of these parents
Yes.
that know that the clock is ticking, but the solution might be walking around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to understand that this any one of us could be stricken by this disease. Any one of us. It could be me. It could be you. It could be our children, our parents.
Speaking for the staff at the fund, how do you guys take to that personally, dealing with these cases? Because my previous experience didn't go down that well. I spoke about it last night to my sister-in-law Raisa, and I told her that it takes me 2 months to rehabilitate, to come out of it, because I get attached to all of these things. So how do you guys cope with all of that?
You know, it's something that you never get used to. You're aware that when you get involved in a patient's story, when you get you build a relationship with the family and their need and the process that they're going through. You know that at the end of the day, it's not something that you're going to get used to. So yes, you feel it. It's emotional. You're on an emotional journey with the patient, with the patient's family, with the stories out there. It doesn't even have to be a patient that we know about. You can just read about the story in a magazine or a newspaper, and because of what we do, we understand some of what they might be going through, and it's touching because we also understand that it could happen to us. We could be in that situation tomorrow. We have no idea. So I'd like to urge people out there to understand that it could happen to all of us. It doesn't matter our race, our class, whether we have money, whether we don't have money. It doesn't distinguish who it's going to affect. It could affect any of us. And we need to be ready for that.
Correct. What we're going to do now is we're going to tap a little bit into the life of Zian. Our crew went out to find out some of the challenges that she has, and to see how her parents has adapted to what the lifestyle, and maybe look a bit into her journey. And maybe when we come back, we understand a bit more how we can assist in that journey.
Zian was diagnosed in 2004, if I'm not mistaken. We were on holiday in Joburg, and she actually had a earache from the compression in the cabin. Took her to the doctor, and he said, "You know what, your daughter's like pale." And he said, "Yeah, she's anemic and whatever." She says, "No, you know, there's something deeper going on here." He gave me a letter to go to Red Cross. Took the letter in, and a few days later, they diagnosed her with having this blood disease. So that's how we first found out what was going on. Initially, when Zian was diagnosed, it was a shock, because at that time I discovered that I was still pregnant with my second daughter, and it was a bit insane. But there was no blood transfusions, there was nothing hectic going on at that time. It was only until she was about 6 years old, and because I just had her being monitored, her HP and stuff like that, and then they realized that the HP was dropping. And when she was 6, the first blood transfusion started, and it started, I think we were every 6 months, and then we went to every 5 months, every 3 months, every 2 months, we went down to every month, and we are currently now on every 2 weeks blood transfusions. The blood disease itself, the effect that it had in my family, I think firstly was the emotional side of it. It was, once the blood transfusion started, I think Zian had to get used to all the needles first. It was an emotional challenge. She was crying all the time. I couldn't understand what was going on. My husband, who was a carrier of the disease, found it difficult, because obviously being the man in the family, he felt that he had made his daughter sick and things like that. So emotionally, I think it devastated us in the beginning. And then Zian met a young boy who was diagnosed with cancer. He had a tumor in his face, and she didn't speak to him, but I had spoken to the dad, and after that, I think about a month later, she asked me how he was, and I then asked the gentleman how he was, and he had passed away. And that was Zayan's turning point. And then she said that was it. She wasn't going to cry anymore. She wasn't going to complain about it anymore. And she was about 7 at that time. She was going to accept it because this little boy wasn't here to see his mommy and his daddy, and she was still here. And with that, Zayan's strength came, and with her strength, my strength came. And we faced a lot of challenges, but Zayan is a positive, very positive, extremely positive child. She takes this whole thing as, it's one of those things now. It's just one of those things. So that's how we take it now. It doesn't rule us anymore. We don't allow it to rule our family anymore. It's just a part of who we are now. Financially, it was, I think, it has become a heavy burden right now because my husband doesn't work. She's got to be in hospital every 2 weeks. She's got to be in there for blood transfusions, and sometimes she's here till 9 at night. So transport is a big issue. We've lost our home. It was a very big blow for us. It's financially just affected us badly.
Well, I was younger, so it wasn't really easy for me to grasp the concept of lifelong sickness and things. So I was kind of just taking things day by day, seeing how things went on until it came up to the point when we had to start with the blood transfusions. School-wise, I'm absent a lot more, which means that I have to try to catch up with work. I can't do sports and things like that, so I kind of just have to sit out of things like that. Can't run around too much also, so...
I said the blood disease was the catalyst into finding out who I really am as a mother and as a person, because had Zayan not been sick, I wouldn't have went back to school. She wouldn't have convinced me to go back to school. She said to me, Mom, you stop complaining. If I can go to school and I can get straight A's, it's okay, you go back to school. And then she said, and now what? You're done with your matric. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? And I discovered what I want to do. And she says, you can do it. And I'm going back to university now, and I'm on my way to getting my degree. So Zayan has been my strength. She's been my inspiration. She's been the positivity in my life. So it's not that we don't look for a match anymore. We've just accepted it because the disease has become part of who we are. It's just part of us now. We don't live anymore thinking, oh God, Zayan, you're going to die at the age of 20. Oh, Zayan, this is going to happen. No, she gets treated as normal. She has to wash dishes. She has to get up. She has to do things. There's no excuses. One thing she's never done is use that as an excuse. As tired as she is, sometimes as exhausted as she is, as sick as she feels, she gets up and she goes to school. And what I admire the most about Zayan is that she goes to school and she excels. She excels in what she does. She moved from 25 last term to 21st in Spandau High, out of 280 kids in grade 8. She rocks. She's just an amazing kid, man. Blood transfusions, a blood transfusion on average for Zayan lasts about 3.5 to 4 hours. On the days that she gets 2 units of blood, it's about 10 hours. But the problem is, for the past few months, there's been a severe shortage of blood. Zayan is A positive, and these days she has to wait until 9, 10 o'clock sometimes at night. It's been an uphill battle to find the A positive, but it's not that she just takes of the full blood, because what she needs is red packed cells from the blood itself, so that's extracted, and then there's something called phenotyping that they do as well. So it's a whole process, but the major problem here is that there's not enough people are donating blood. There's not enough blood donors in the Western Cape, so it makes it difficult out there. And Zayan's not the only kid in the ward waiting for blood and waiting for their blood match. So people need to donate urgently. Like there's kids waiting for this blood. And I'm saying it like that because without this blood, without somebody donating Zayan A positive, Zayan won't be here. Because she cannot survive without blood. She cannot survive without her blood transfusions for long. The problem is that I am on medical aid, but medical aid doesn't cover those costs of testing those people. And it works out to roughly about $500,000 if you're going to find a match, and it's complicated. it's expensive. In South Africa, there isn't, out of the 65,000, I'm not sure if it's gone up now, registered donors, not one of them is a match for Zayan. Also, to my understanding, is that colored people, Indian people, African people, black people, they don't donate, they're not on the bone marrow registry list, and because of the coloreds and the Cape Malays and whatever, the genetics it's mixed. So to find those specific markers, you're not going to find in people that donate now, which is in the majority, I'm assuming, is white people that are donating. It's difficult because Zayan isn't white. You're going to find those genetic markers with people of color, and people are not out. People don't know. People think it's so complicated. They don't know. It's just a blood test. Initially, people are uneducated about these things. Zayan is also on medication. She's got underactive thyroid disease, so she's on meds for that. She's also on meds for the thalassemia itself. She's on a deferricerox, and it's called X-Trade. It costs about 15,500 a month. And what this medication does is that it removes the excess buildup of iron in Zayan's body, which, if left untreated, could turn toxic, because human blood is rich in iron, and all of this causes a buildup in Zayan's body. So it's important that she gets her meds every morning. She's got to take it. She hates it, but she doesn't have a choice but to take that.
I think looking at visuals like that, when we actually go into people's homes and we understand the challenges that these children have and people that are sick out there, it's my opinion that we tend to go around with life every day, getting into our cars, going into our fancy lives, getting focused on what we're doing, arguing with people, making a noise here, there, and the other. All of that means absolutely nothing to people like Zayan and her parents, because they're battling to save a life. And it's something that we need to start getting in touch with. Abigail, what's your thoughts? Knowing that we see this happening in front of us, and you guys are out there trying to make that change. What's your thoughts when looking at children like Zayan and seeing them playing, dealing with things, that connection with their parents that could be lost, and that's a reality?
Absolutely. Look, on the one hand, it's amazing how they rise above it. On the other hand, it's sad they need to grow up so quickly. They need to accept things that we don't even think about. We're so busy with our lives, as you said, worrying with inconsequential things, getting into our car, going out.
We need to stop.
But we need to stop that. We need to consider that there are bigger things happening out there. Little Zayan is fighting for life, but we're carrying on with ours. We can take one little step to make a difference in this child's life. We can take one little step to make a difference in this family's life, because everybody in a family is affected by it. You know, she has parents who are aware that they might lose their child.
So boil it down to brass tacks. Can you take out the one movie session? Can you take out one sit on the beach for the afternoon and give that time? Because that could make a difference. But that's what we're involved with. That's
Absolutely.
all we do.
Absolutely.
That's what we do, you know.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, none of that matters. I always say one thing, Abigail, and I say that whatever you do for others will be yours to keep forever.
Absolutely.
Because in the year after, you will be
Yes.
accountable for that. And whatever you've kept for yourself, you will lose the time that you die. So therefore, you need to give more, because that will be your returns in the end of the day. We're going to go now to some of the comments of some of the people that work with the campaign itself. Just get their thoughts, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Basically, Bandana Day started when Chris was diagnosed. He was a young lad, early teenager, and when he had his chemotherapy, he lost his hair. And for him, it was something to hide. It was something to hide behind. So he said, could I please wear a bandana? And that's where Bandana Day was born. And in his young mind, he thought if everybody could stand together with him going through this ordeal, it would make it so much easier. And that's how Bandana Day was born on the one hand. So it's standing together with anybody who's ever had cancer. It's not only leukemia and life-threatening blood disorders, but it's anybody who's been affected by cancer, and we all know someone at least. And on the other hand, it is the Sunflower Fund's major fundraising campaign of the entire year. With that money, with that 25 Rand, it all adds up and it helps the fund pay for people's test costs to join the South African Bone Marrow Registry. So on the one hand, you're standing together to show your support of cancer patients, survivors, or in a lot of cases, those who have lost their battle to it. And on the other hand, you are assisting to save a life.
National
by
Bandana Day
helping
is our
people
biggest
join the
fundraiser,
registry.
and this is
What
really
we're
important
asking
to us
for is
because
that
it
South
really
Africa
supports and
really
highlights
come to the party. The campaign slogan this year is "We Heart Bandana Day, do you?" And we're asking corporates, go out there, make a fun day of it. Bandana Day is on the 12th of October, but you can have it on the closest Friday or whenever. Get your people together, all go out and buy your bandanas, have a photo showing you Heart Bandana Day, send it to us and we'll place this on our social media sites as well. We also are appealing to all the schools, have a Civvies Day. If they're wearing this year's bandana, come to school in Civvies. Make it fun for everyone. If you make something fun with the very, very heart-sore feeling behind it, the support, we all stand together, let's help each
All
other.
the proceeds for this,
On
the purchase of the
National
bandanas go
Bandana Day, when
towards
we
the
all
Sunflower
stand
Fund.
together, this year's design is so hip and funky and very, very trendy. You are going to see people all over South Africa wearing their bandanas in different ways. And surely if you're not wearing your bandana, you're not part of standing in solidarity with cancer survivors and patients. So on that day, you can wear it how you like. You don't have to always put it on your head. You can wear it around your waist, tuck it into your pocket, and wear it on your handbag. Make something out of your bandanas. You can have tablecloths, duvet covers, napkins. There's a myriad of different things out there. Get creative, do something with your bandana. Well, our
The Sunflower
heartfelt
Fund
thanks
has
goes
received
out
incredible
to
support
all those
from,
people, be it in the media, be it corporate, be it schools, be it individuals, who have assisted us over the past 15 years. We offer them our heartfelt thanks. Without them, we cannot carry on doing the important job that we need to do, and that is to try and save more lives. So our thanks go out to everybody who have helped us. Thank you.
Welcome back. Now you see a range of people that are involved with the campaign, doing what they can do to save a life and doing what they can do to change the world and the entire universe of a child like Zayan and many more out there. I must be honest with my viewers, and that is that I think at this point I want to ask you to get involved. You guys follow everything else that we do, and I think that this is something that we are asking you to get involved with primarily because you can make that difference. So if it's not via the donation that you want to do, if it's not financially, if it's not in any other way, at least get a bandana or give your time to the campaign so that you can save children like Zayan. Until next time, goodbye.